You all had a lovely weekend. For you moms out there in particular, and those of you with moms out there celebrating Mother and Mother Earth. Sit up tall. Draw the flesh of the buttocks out to the two sides. Let your thighs draw down. So as you draw the flesh of the buttocks out, think about releasing the hips so that the thighs can actually descend. And then bring your palms together. Thumb mounds resting right against the sternum. And closing your eyes, just begin to take yourself inward, drawing the senses inward, drawing your awareness inward. Reflecting on your mood, reflecting on your attitude, reflecting on your physical state, your emotional state. And then let that go and come to your breath. So just take this moment to allow the breath to be the central focus here in this moment. Slowing down the breath a little bit so that you can really feel, sense the quality of the breath. Noticing as well, sensing as well how the breath interacts with the body in this moment. And how the breath can help you find a more centered place. Despite all of the issues that you struggle with or have to deal with, there's always the breath. Coming back to the breath is a way of calming the mind, taking care of the body. So now bring your attention to the physical body. From the two sit bones, lift up. Feeling the lengthening of the torso, the two sides of the torso, the back ribs, the front ribs, all lifting away from the hips. Just thinking about the space between the front and the back rib cage and the front and the back hip, and trying to get a little bit more of that space as you lift. And then thinking about the shoulders now as you create and cultivate space in the front, the side, the back of the waist. Also drawing the shoulders down to cultivate space in the upper part of the spine, the cervical spine, drawing the chin in as you drop the shoulders. Softening the gaze, softening the lips. Softening the jaw, and we'll chant 3 ohms. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharigasya javai yogena yopakaratam prabharamaninam patanjalim pranjaliranatusmi abahu parushakaram Shankachakrasi darinam sahasra shirsam shwetam prananami patanjalim Hari Om. Bow your head, release your hands, lift your head, open your eyes. Okay. We're going to start off today with a seated twist. I'm just going to turn to the side for this one, from a different perspective. And I'm going to sit on the blanket, just on the edge of the blanket here, take the two heels and extend them forward. And just take a moment and wake up the legs. You know, having sat initially in the Sukhasana position, just stretch out the legs, engage them. The Sukhasana position is really about letting the legs relax and release, letting go in the legs. The Dandasana is the opposite. It's about bringing attention to the legs in a more informed and intentional way. Take your two hands off to the sides, a little bit back behind you, lift and lengthen through the side body. So basically, this is your foundation for all seated twists and all poses, all seated poses, in fact. So you're going to bend your right knee, taking your right hand to the inside of that knee and bring the heel in toward the sit bone. This is Marichyasana 2. I'm going to take the left arm and wrap it around the shin here. And then you can use your right hand to press into the upper thigh, just to move the belly around a little bit more, and then take your right hand back behind you. Now look how I'm continuing to work that extended left leg as I move away from it. Press the back of the left leg down into the floor. And draw on the resources that you have to lift the body, to lift the front body. So you've got two ways in which you're supporting that. You've got that back hand, that right hand, that's helping you, particularly with that right side. But then you have this left arm as well, that's actually helping lift the left rib up and turning, looking over your right shoulder. Spread that right collarbone, drawing it back and around. Then lift your left arm and reach for that left foot. And then take your right arm and reach it around the outer part of the thigh and into the shin. You're still twisting back to the right, but you're also moving forward into a forward bend at the same time. Continue to draw that left ear towards your left knee as you turn and look up. Notice how this left elbow bends as you move deeper into that forward fold. Bringing that left elbow down toward the leg, to the outside of the leg. And then now take the right arm and lift it straight up and open. the chest. And then take your right hand and reach that toward the foot. Now you're going to turn back toward the foot and come into pretty deep forward bend with that right knee bent. Shoulder blades draw back. You don't have to come too far forward, by the way. This is our first series, so just, ease into it. Don't push yourself into it. Then take your last piece of this, take your right arm and thread it under the right leg, and then lift that leg up. Take hold of the foot with your left hand, and then bring that foot across the left thigh, and the sole of the foot is turned back. And then take the two arms up and bring the two hands toward either side of the ball of the foot, the big toe mound, the baby toe mound. Lift your chest. You're just going to ease your ribs over that crossover thigh. And then just close your eyes for a moment or two, just to allow yourself to experience the areas in the body that are being addressed here. Make sure you place your head in a position, your gaze in a position that supports the cervical spine. And then inhale the two arms back up and exhale, release the two arms back down. Uncross the leg and we'll take that right heel forward. You're going to bring the two hands back into this strong Dandasana pose, very active through the two legs here. Notice how that inhale really supports, again, this lift of the rib cage away from the waist, just giving you a little more freedom there, letting those internal organs, breathe and bringing space and ease into those organs. Then take your left hand to the inside of the left knee, bend the knee and bring the heel in. And you're coordinating this heel with the left sit bone. You're going to wrap the right arm around, take the left hand back, and you don't want to necessarily go deep into this twist right away. It's an incremental process. So it's a gradual turning of the body. Try to draw the navel around. Just bit by bit, just getting a little bit more of a turn on the exhalation. Still focusing on that right leg as an area of stability, pushing through that heel, drawing down through the back of the leg. Spreading that left collarbone now all the way out. Think of a bow and arrow. This is the bow. You also want to think about drawing the right edge of the collarbone away from the center as well. Draw the chin in and lengthen through the upper part of the spine. Draw the chin in as you feel the neck lengthen. Good. Right. So now we're going to lift that right arm up, way up, and then extend it toward the foot. And you could just bring that left hand around the thigh and turn. Pressing through the heel as you twist away from the right leg. I'm using this left hand on the thigh here to give me a little bit more access to the belly turning. Then take your left arm up, open the chest, open. And then take the left hand now and reach it toward the foot. You can take both hands now on either side. And again, not too deep into this forward bend at this moment. Relax the top of the shoulders. So incrementally moving forward with the sternum chest, cognizant of the position of the back of the neck here. Good. Now release your left arm and just draw it through the leg. You're just threading that through, and then lift the left leg. Take hold of the foot with your right hand and cross it over into the half Gomukhasana position. So turning the sole of the foot back. And then take the two arms up. Big inhale is always going to be the first part of this because you're lifting on the inhale. And then as you exhale, bringing the hands toward the foot again. Not going too far into this. There's a very deep stretch going on in the back of this right leg. The hip is getting attention. The torso and the spine, all getting a lot of attention here. So softening the shoulders and drawing the chest forward, and of course, always cognizant of what's going on in the upper body and in the head and neck. Just inviting these ribs forward a little bit more. Uncross and set that heel next to the right heel. Take your two hands back behind you. Use the hands now to reset the torso. The heels are extended. Spread your toes. Look at those toes and spread them. I would want to see space between all of the toes. When you get that, there's a certain action that comes into the foot that you don't get when you're just relaxing the toes and not spreading them. So make sure that you're attending to that. Feel the big toe mound drop in toward the big toe mound. So right big toe mound in toward the left, and the baby toe mound spreading out, and then look for the space between the toes. There it is. Looks somewhat distorted right to left for me. I got this right toe wants to curl in forward toward my knee a little bit. Then set your gaze forward. Soften your gaze. Almost taking the lens of a camera and slightly softening it so it's not quite as sharp. But notice as you do that how the eye line takes in a lot more of the outer part of the horizon. And then release. Go ahead and turn around onto your knees, and you may want to block for this next series. So you'll start in downward facing dog. I'm going to take a nice big stretch here throughout the body. So starting with the hands, lift your fingers and spread them and set the palms down with a newfound awareness here, and set the mounds of the fingers down as well.
press them into the ground and then relax them. And then do it again, press in and relax. Notice as you relax that the shoulders tend to just come forward a little bit. So it's important that you bring the shoulders back so that the fingers and palms are actually helping move those shoulder blades into place. Now look between your feet. As you draw the heels down slightly, notice how that engages your legs. Spread your toes, spread the ball of the foot, just like you did in the Dandasana here. And the nice thing about the down dog is when you spread the toes and the balls of the foot and set them down, they kind of stay there. So you don't have to work as hard to keep that space. Draw the ankles up toward the back of the knee, toward the front of the knee. Lift your sit bones up. Now look at your right heel, look at your left. Is one turning in a little bit more than the other? I bet it is. Just a hair, maybe. Then pick up your right foot and step it forward and come to a lunge. So this is a high lunge, and I'm just going to use my block here on the right side because that keeps my chest pretty high. You can also put my hands down on the floor, but the block is really helpful here. You press the whole palm into the block and really lift the torso away from that right thigh. Now I'm pressing through that left heel and drawing the sternum chest forward. And then, of course, I'm setting my gaze so that the back of my neck is long, the chin is drawing in again. And then from here, and this is tricky because it demands a lot of strength in your legs, you're going to take your two arms back and interlock your fingers and lift the arms up and give a really strong stretch to those arms. And now lift your chest. If you need to bring your hand down to your block at any time, you may. Notice how your fingers are interlocked because you're going to change that on the second side. Good, release. Take your hand back down. You can move your block over here, and then you'll take that down dog one more time. And being very specific, starting at the foundational portion of the pose, pressing the palms down, creating that length through the arm and into the shoulder. So there's a strong connection between the hands and the shoulder blades. There's a strong connection between the feet and the hips. So we want to join those dots. Make those connections. Then take your left foot and step it forward. You can take as many steps as you need. You're just going to bring your block right next to your left foot. Lift your chest. Draw your heel on the right side back as you move the left shin forward. We're going to do a lot of leg stretching today. We started in Dandasana, and we move now from the twist into the high lunge. Pressing through that back heel. And now we're going to take the two arms back, way back, change the interlock of the fingers, lift the arms, and lift your chest without letting that left hip come up and without letting that back knee bend. So I'm keeping it very strong and alert. And then release. And go ahead and step back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then bring your knees down. So for this next pose, I'm going to suggest one of two things. You can either bring your blanket into your onto your mat. I think it's best to have some space in front because what we're going to do next is a lunge, but you're going to want to put your foot on the floor rather than the mat. You don't want the foot to stick. You want the foot to be movable here. So from here, I'm going to step my knees onto the blanket and then take the right foot and bring it forward. And it's right off of the mat here. And then I'm just going to come forward. So, and now I'm in a low lunge. So I'm just going to let this left groin wake up a little bit, stretch a little bit. Noticing the connection between the left and the right. And then I'm going to walk this right foot forward. And that's why you don't really want your mat. So if you look here, I'm just wiggling the heel forward. And then I'm going to take my block over to the right. And I'm going to try to set the sit bone on the block, just like this. Now notice my knee is not fully straight yet. I'm going to get there, but I don't want to get there just yet. I want to find the square position of the hip first. So I'm taking my hands to the hips, and now I'm going to start to wiggle that heel forward, and maybe I can, there it goes, get the leg straight. But I want to feel that squaring of the hip. I don't want this left hip to recede back too much. I want to feel like it's pretty much in line with the right. And then you're going to take your hands behind you, interlock your fingers, lift your chest, lift your arms, and feel the pectoral muscles stretch open. You can look up a little bit and look down just to kind of get a sense of how that changes the experience of the pose. And then bring your gaze forward and release. Notice how your fingers are interlocked. Release your hands. And now we can just walk the hands forward. Shoulders soft. Now you're going to come into this pose where you can go. You're not going to push yourself either, but you're just going to be very observant about how deep you go into this. So you do not have to go, don't push yourself. Yoga is never about that. It's about observing your limits, listening, observing the needs of your body. You may bend the elbows and bring the chest forward. At this point, if you wanted, you could maybe turn that block down. Some of you may be able to or want to. I'm not gonna, because my hamstrings are pretty tight and I want to just not push them too far at one time. So I'm happy with the high position of the block at the moment. Good. Walk your hands in, slide your foot in. Just take your block off to the other side and take that right knee now and move back. And then your hands on the block, on the mat, take downward dog. And just feel the right side. Feel the left side. Maybe there's a slight difference. Close your eyes. You might actually get clearer on what that difference really feels like. Using your sensing body, closing the eyes, taking the visual part out, which oftentimes is distracting. Good. And then bring your knees back down. Go ahead and come up. And then, of course, you're going to take that left foot and step it forward. then just stepping it off the mat. It's not a huge step yet. And I'm going to just bend the knee. I want the buttock to be in line with the knee. I want the knee to be pretty much in line with the heel, although that's going to change. And then I can take my hands down. And we're just letting the thighs just work collaboratively here. The inner groin stretching, noticing the relationship between that right inner thigh and the left as you bring that shin forward. I'm going to take my block now. And I'm going to start to just walk the heel a little bit further forward. And you don't have to, again, don't go into the split right away. You want to go gradually. I know that some of you have a really beautiful split, but you want to make sure that it stays beautiful, right? So I'm wiggling my heel forward. I'm going to set this block right under the left sit bone. Make sure you get the sit bone to rest on the block. Now, those of you who need more height, of course, I should have told you that for the first side. You just take another block under this block that you're on. And then you just continue to wiggle the heel until you're happy with where that leg goes, how it extends, how much. So I'm getting close now to the straight leg here. We could do a whole workshop on splits, and by the end of that workshop, I can guarantee you, you'll be very close to the floor. Now, lift up, take your hands behind you, change the interlock of the fingers, and open your chest. Give the upper body a lovely stretch. Spreading the pectoral muscles, pressing that heel into the floor. Opening. Oh. Keeping the hips square. And then you can release, take your hands forward. Now we're just going to ease the chest forward, drawing the shoulders back. So it's a drawing up through the upper chest and drawing back through the upper shoulders. And your gaze is down. Again, you're just cognizant of the cervical spine. Now, those of you who cannot do the split or get even close to this, of course, you're going to keep that knee bent until your leg says go. And it may not say go for another 15 years, so be prepared for the journey. But it is a good journey. Beautiful. We're going to come back up, slide your foot in, and then take your knee back to the blanket, the towel, whatever it is that you have there, whether it's a blanket or something in lieu of a blanket. Curl your toes under, lift your knees up, and take downward dog. Now walk your 2 feet in together in the downward dog. Let the big toe mounts touch. And then lift your right foot and step it forward. Take your block. I'm going to try to keep my left heel off the ground. And it's really challenging because I have to focus the legs very, very, very specifically to balance. I'm going to come up. I'm going to take my block behind me and lift the arms up. This is really challenging for the balance. Pressing back through the heel, gaze down at the big toe, And then release, step back. Set your foot right next to the left foot. Breathe. Pick up your left foot, step it forward, find that same spot. I'm going to take my block, slowly come up. You can just take your block behind you. Make sure you look back, and that heel should be turned straight back. It shouldn't be falling in this one. It's quite a challenging pose. And then you'll take your block in your hands, and this might be even more challenging. Trying to keep those legs straight. Lift the block. And then release and push back, downward dog. Separate your feet. Use the 4 pillars, the 2 arms and the 2 legs, lifting, drawing from the hand, drawing from the foot up. And then bend your knees. You may take your knees on the blanket if you'd like. You just take your blanket away. Take child's pose, toes touching, arms extended. Lift your head for a moment and come onto the fingertips. And engage the arms. Don't let the elbows be soft at this point. Take your head back down. Squeeze the elbows. When you squeeze the elbows, you're actually bringing attention to the shoulders. And then come on back up. Curl your toes under. Step your right foot forward. You can take your block over to the outer part of the heel there. And then draw your left heel down. You're already in a lunge, so we're half in the pose. Take your left hand to your inner thigh here. And as you do, press into the inner thigh and turn your body to the left and take your left arm up. Open the chest. Lift your left heel and take it further away. Now I want to keep this thigh close to the arm here, so it's hugging that lower part of the bicep. And then release. Push back, down dog. Breath or 2 here. Again, the 4 pillars here, supporting the roof. Got to be strong to support the roof. Good. Pick up your left foot. Step forward. Take your right heel and turn it down and stay low in that left hip. Your block can be right here and your hand on the block. Take your right hand to the inner thigh and use that to stabilize the thigh as you turn the torso to the right. And then I want to keep that connection between the left thigh and the left arm and open the right arm up. And I'll lift my right heel now and take it back just to go a little deeper. And I'm getting that deep stretch in that inner adductor. Very strong, drawing the left shin forward, drawing the right heel down, and then release and push back. Downward dog. Good. Now pick up your right foot, step it forward. This time you'll take your right hand to your right thigh. Now you can still use your block if you need to. You take your block and bring it right next to the inside of the right foot. Turn your body. Lift your navel and turn it, and then press through your left heel. Then lift your right arm. So you're in the twisted version now of the pose. Shoulders down. Now, it's really important, if you want to really put the shoulders in the right place, this left arm is key. So I'm rolling the bicep open, and you'll notice that that helps bring the shoulder down, and you can twist a little more. And then release and take down dog. And then take your left foot, step it forward. Take your block to the inside, and you can take your right hand onto the block, take your left hand onto the thigh. That's going to give you that leverage. I want to really lift the navel, turn it. If I do that, I'm going to get a way better twist than if I start in the ribs or upper chest. Press through that back heel, and then lift your left arm up. I want that back leg straight. And it's going to be tempting to just drop the knee, but I have to keep working to take that heel back. And then this bicep, the right one, look, roll it forward. It's going to open the collarbone and bring the shoulder blade down. And then release. And again, down dog. Quite a workout for a Monday morning. A work in, perhaps. And then bring your knees down. Take your knees apart. Take your feet apart. Turn your toes back. And then sit back. Take your fingertips down on the floor, lifting the palms up. You're just using the fingertips. Engage the arms. Just relax the buttocks, relax the sit bones. Trying to invite the sit bones to descend. And now you're just going to soften the elbows and relax the palms all the way down. And just bring a quality of ease into this child's pose. Adho Mukha Virasana. Adho Mukha, downward facing child's pose. Downward facing hero pose, Virasana. Yeah. Good. Come on up. We'll just turn around. So we're back down to sitting. I invite you to sit on your blanket for the next series. You want a little bit of height there. If you have your strap nearby, it's going to be very handy. And we'll start again in Dandasana. So sit with your heels forward, engaging the legs, bringing your hands back, turning your biceps out. You're getting that strong upper body lift. Strong release of the shoulder blades down. Strong action through the legs.
Good, then take your left hand to your left knee and bring the heel out. And you're just going to bend the right knee. Your strap is going to be key here. You don't need to make a loop, but you can if you'd like. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to bring that strap around the right foot. And then I'm going to take hold of it with my left hand and bring the right hand out to the side and lift that leg straight up and lift your elbow as well. I'm pushing into the floor with the right hand and turning now to look under that left arm. And then release. We're going to take it again, this time bringing the arm under. So right arm coming under, strap around that right foot, and then up you go. You're going to go a little bit further. And again, notice that split. Extending out through the right heel, turning to the left. This is a compass pose for obvious reasons. And then release. Okay. Now that one goes right into your back muscles as much as it goes into your leg. So we're going to take the second side and keep that right heel out. You're going to take the strap around the left foot. You're going to hold on with your right hand and take your left hand behind. And then you're just going to lift. It's kind of an awkward first part of the pose, but once you lift that elbow nice and high, you can then start to turn your body to the right and look under. And it gets a little bit more comfortable. Not a lot, but a little. And then release it. So this time I'm going to take my left arm through. I'm going to lift the leg. And then I'm going to take that left hand down and lift the leg again. This time, really assisting that stretch through the left leg with the left arm here. Turning, pressing through the heel. And then release. And take the strap away. And take your two toes forward. Fingertips back. Chest lifted. Really good poses for those of you who are going to do the beta breakers. It's still goes. It's not done yet, right? It's next weekend. I think it might be. Open the chest, spread the collarbones. Do you see that? Just getting that action into the collarbones. This also brings your shoulders down, opens the chest. I'm going to bend the two knees and walk the feet out. Take the two arms up and bring the hands to the outsides of the feet now. Drawing the chest forward. We're going to keep those knees bent. I want a good stretch in the low back here. You can work your elbows out to the side as you come forward. So a really good way to stretch the low back is by keeping the knees a little bit soft and isolating the stretch, which we've been working on quite a bit over the past few weeks. And now I'm going to use a block here. Just take the block forward. I'm going to now take my two hands through the legs and to the outsides of the feet. And I'm going to just slide the heels. And again, it's best to do this off your mat
just because you don't want the mat to catch your heels. And then you can place the forehead on the block. Oh, feels quite nice. You can walk your heels forward as much as you want and are able. Terrific stretch for your shoulders. So if you have tight shoulders, this is a great one for you, but it's also a great stretch for your low back. Good, and then go ahead and release the arms and come up. So sit on your blanket or a little bit of height is I recommend. Take the two legs wide and engage them. Flex your heels, draw the back of the leg down. This is Upavista Konasana. We're gonna do a whole series around this. Just start here, sitting up tall. I'm gonna turn to the right. We start here at the top of the, just above the hip, turning that left waist around the navel band and continuing that all the way around here, the back of the waist as well. Your left hand is over your right thigh and it's helping you get that twist. And then come back and we'll go to the other side. So turning, just bringing one hand forward, right hand forward, left hand back, and then just setting your spine in line with your left leg to start. Trying to get this right waist to turn all the way around and feel that and wrapping all the way around the back. You may then take your right hand across as you go further into the twist. And again, spreading the collarbones, really important. And then come on back. Take your strap and bring it around your right foot. I'm going to take the right hand to the strap. Turn the elbow down. Bring the elbow down to the inside of the leg if you can. And take your left arm and lift it up and extend it. You're just going to hold it here. And as I reach with the left arm, I'm pressing into the right arm into the leg. I'm pushing through this left heel and trying to descend the left buttock. And then I'm going to switch hands, taking the strap now in the left hand and bring your right hand across to your left thigh. Lift your left elbow and turn. You're going to feel a big stretch somewhere, and I bet you it's right here in that back left rib area, waist area. And then come on up and just we'll pause for a moment. Just give your body a moment, breath or two before you go into the second side. Take the strap around your left foot. Sit up tall. So I'm going to reach down, walking the hand down pretty close to the foot. And then drawing that left elbow to the inside, turning your ribs, your navel to the right. Take your right arm up and now extend it. It's just an extension here. First part
is really just getting that stretch in the right side. Good. Now you're going to take hold of the strap with your right hand. And then reach your left hand across and on top of the thigh. This elbow here can actually stay anchored against that left inner thigh here. And you can lift that elbow and help your body turn through the arm. Now, don't let the legs just hang out. They have to be active here. And then release. Come on up. We're going to stay in the Upadista Konasana for the last part of the pose, which is the forward bend part. So again, I have my block here. And if you need more height, you can definitely build up more height should you need it. And also put a chair right here if you need in the forward bend. We want to ultimately try to rest the head. So we're trying to rest the brain as we work the legs and the torso. So you're going to take the flesh of the buttocks out, right back, and then take the two arms up, and then come forward and bring the two hands to the feet. If you can get hold of the feet, great. If not, just hold on to the legs. Any part of the leg is fine. So I'm looking down on my block here. And I don't necessarily want to just drop my head down right away because I want to cultivate some more length in the front of the torso first. So I'm easing down, easing down. The goal is not to get the head down. The goal is to move the chest forward. And if your head comes down ultimately and rests, that's great. You then can just walk your hands forward. Lift your chest, lift your head, walk your hands forward again, and rest your head. As you go deeper, you lower the block. Good. Bring your hands down to the floor, help yourself up, and then you're just going to slowly walk your 2 feet in and come back to Dandasana. Take your hands behind you. Roll the biceps open, shoulder blades down. Try to get the calves to come down to the floor. Take your left hand to the right knee, lift it, and cross the foot over. We're going to go into our second major twist here, major seated twist, that is. So you're going to move to the right. Breathe. As you exhale, you twist. As you inhale, you lift. And then release. Extend your right heel forward. Take your left foot, cross it over. And you'll twist to your left. Now you can always go deeper in this by taking that arm out and over. I don't think it's really necessary. I think you get an excellent twist just by wrapping the arm around the shin. Still going to get that movement of the torso. and that lengthening through the spine. And then release. Extend your hip forward. Dandasana. And now we're ready to come down onto our backs. And one of the purposes of moving down now into the floor is to bring a soothing connection to the back body. You may have your block available to you, and you can take your blanket. Actually, don't take your blanket just yet. You have your blanket accessible, but not under your body. And just lie down with the knees bent, feet flat on the ground, supporting the body, the back body, with the feet, sole of the foot resting, back of the arm resting. And then we're going to walk the heels in, and we're going to lift the hips slowly. Now, when I say slowly, I mean it's almost like peeling off the ground, starting at the tailbone. So what I want to do is resist lifting like this, just jerking the body up. So in order to do that, I counter with drawing the abdomen in first and bringing a firmness to the abdomen until you feel the tailbone start to curl upwards. Now, when you do that, you'll notice that there's a greater arc in the cervical spine, the neck. So I'm going to lift my head and draw the head back, and then lift another couple of vertebrae up. And then I'm lifting my head again and taking it back. I'm countering as I lift the hips and the spine. I'm countering with lengthening the neck. And I'm going to do that all the way up. All the way up. And I'm going to come into bridge, interlocking the fingers. Roll your entire weight over to your left arm and tuck your right shoulder and arm under, and then go to the other side and do that same thing. And you're really in a much better position to go into the full bridge. Now, this is where the spreading of those pectoral muscles comes into play. If you can walk your heels in closer now to your hips, try that, but don't let the feet distort. Keep them toes pointing forward. And then press into the heel, into the ball of the foot. Elevate those hips. Lift your head again one more time and lengthen it back. And then release the arms. Now to come down, we're going to do the opposites. We're going to set don't need to lift the head, but set the vertebrae down one at a time. Release those shoulders out a little bit. Give yourself some space there to feel that middle thoracic spine. Descend, navel's drawing in. And then setting the hips down, setting the arms down. Now we have one more pose to do before we go into Shavasana. And I want to just, add something to that bridge. So what I like to do after the bridge is this one. I'm going to take my elbows down into the floor. I'm going to lift my head and lift my chest so the whole torso is lifted. I drop the head back and set the top of the skull down. I'm still using my elbows. And I'm trying to lift the rib cage up.
Now bring your shoulder blades down toward your back ribs and bring your ribs up toward your shoulders. Walk your feet in together. Lift your feet off the ground. Lift the arms and extend the arms. This is Matsyasana. Extend your legs, fish pose. You may stay in the first or second variation and then release the feet, release the arms, lift the head, look forward, and slowly set your spine down. Put your blanket under your head. This is where we get to let go. Now I have the knees bent because what I want to do is feel that soothing connection with the ground. Drop your knees in together so there's no tension in the thighs. I want to take that out. Now, if you want, you could put the two blocks, one under each Achilles. So you have a slight elevation of the leg there. Or if you're happy with the full Shavasana, extending through the two heels, letting the feet fall apart, classic corpse pose. Letting go, practicing, letting go. Some of us have a fear of letting go. It's not unusual. But this is a safe moment to practice that without judgment. Letting go physically is one thing. Letting go mentally is one thing. Letting go emotionally is one thing. When you bring all three together, it's very powerful. The whole body, the whole being. Letting go. And allowing the breath just to be that through line that strings those three beads, the body, the mind, the emotions, strings them together. It's like a constellation. Mind, body, emotions. And the breath joins the stars together. Allows you to float. Freely. You're not bound by the brain or the emotions or the body. It's the breath that is holding you, allowing those three stars to float. The connectivity of those three stars. Holding you safely.
Notice which star falters, tries to take you out of this moment. Might be the brain. Come back to your breath. Bring some movement into your feet, your toes, your hands. And then begin to bend the knees gently, with awareness, with care. And roll to your right side. And help yourself up. Find your seat. And bring your palms together. Let's finish our practice today, sealing it with the sound of Om, the universal sound, the sound that created in its own vibration what we know as the universe. Begin now. Namaste. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for being